And a warm welcome back to you all. Yes, it is August and it's the 17th, and happy birthday to my son. Not that he will be watching, but he is. It's his birthday and he is an age that I would care not to divulge because he's old and he makes me look old, so let's not go down that road. What am I doing today? Well, this is a bit of a video that you'll just have to persevere with. I promised to faithfully I would rescue a bear. You heard it, a bear. And this is the bear. And as you can quite rightly see, there is a split from top to bottom, and there is one there to there. Now, obviously you can't close that up because this is a log of some form or another, and it has got hairline cracks all the way through in certain parts, and it's a cherished one at that. So I am going to come to the rescue and we're going to put it into Bear Hospital and we're going to try and fix this bear. Now, it is interfering with the boat, but you know, a mercy mission, and it's for Ava Waite. She's 3 years old and she lives in London. In fact, she lives in Chislehurst, and well, she was upset that her bear had got a little bit poorly, and I said I would come to the rescue, and let's hope that I can come to the rescue. So we're going to fix that bear, and hopefully won't take too long and we can get it back to her and then she'll be all happy again. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix that bear. So first of all, what I've got to do is I've got to find a piece of wood that I can put in there. And normally you would use something like a shim of a piece of wood, but I haven't got a shim, so I'm going to make do with the wood that I've got here, there and everywhere. So I'm going to measure the gap between there and there, and then I'm going to file it down to a point and hopefully be able to glue and jam a section into there, and then we can start making the shape, etc. Now, this has clearly been burnt, so we're going to have to try and reenact what this is. So I'm going to find a piece of wood, an old piece of wood, such as, for example, this colour, because it sort of blends in quite nicely with it. So I'm thinking if I find something over in my wood store over there, I might be able to come up with something that would fit that shape. So there we go. A little bit something different. I know it's a boat channel, but sometimes these things come along and we have to, well, I like putting things like this on video because, you know, it helps to preserve it for all to see within the family when I'm dead and buried, or wherever I'm going to go in a few years' time, in a few long years' time. So there we go. I shall crack on and you'll get to see what I do, whether I'm successful or whether I fail. Who knows? How hard can it be? That's the question. So I'll crack on and I'll see you shortly. Bye for now. Okay, a little update. So I found a piece of what looks like old tongue and groove here. Softwood, I know, doesn't really matter because we're going to treat it anyway. So basically I put that in here and I used the grinder with a flat disc on, as you can see there, and created a point to the thickness that I wanted. So, and then I cut off roughly a rough section of the piece that I wanted. I'll show you the reason for that now. So as you can see here, that piece is represented, and that piece over there. So basically that was one long length, but because this crack here is obviously different thicknesses and depths for that matter, it's obvious that it can't go in one piece. So I've trimmed a section where it's thin going into there, and I've put plenty of glue inside there and then tapped that in. It doesn't have to be exact for now, because you'll see after how we mould to the shape. We can chisel out a bit, and we can use the finger sander, which is over there, and we can start to mould it to these shapes, and then we can burn it. So the next piece is going to go here. I've cut a little angle there with the bandsaw, so then it can go on an angle downwards, and I've marked it there where it goes. So I need to glue that in place there, but you can see roughly there how far it goes down into there. So that'll all get filled with glue, and then this will get hammered into place, and then we'll leave it to set. But you can see there it's filling the gap. If you just use glue or fiberglass, you wouldn't be able to really get this effect. So it's obviously needs to be wood. So that's what I'm using anyway. So I think that knocked into position. I don't want to knock it too far at this stage, because I'll not get it out. So that can get banged into place. I'll probably just take a bit off there with the saw, because I can mark it along there like so. I don't want to take it off too much, because I might knock it in such a way that it goes beyond that depth. So I'll just take a bit off there, and it saves me using that. I can cut most of that off there, so that's what I'm going to do now. But you can get the idea of how I'm going to work it, and then obviously I need to then make a piece to go in there. Doesn't matter if it's in 3 sections, it's probably better actually. And this one I might be able to get away with 1 piece. We'll have to wait and see. I'll have to be careful, because his eye is just about there. So anyway, it's going as well as I thought it would, so that's good. Right, see you soon. Okay, so the bear is out of major surgery. It's patched up, it's got the wedges nicely firm in place. This one was a little bit more difficult to get in without damaging anything, but you know, once there's filler in there and around these areas here, and I've got it trimmed into place, it should look better. So I'm going to let that set overnight, and with a bit of luck we should be on to the next stage, which would be whittling it down with that sander there. If I can find, oh, I know where they are, they're down there in that bag. So yeah, that's the next stage. So I'm very pleased with what's happened up to now. So stay tuned tomorrow, and we shall continue. Bye for now. And a good morning to you. So I welcome you back to Bear Hospital. And basically what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be using this little finger sander, and we're going to make the shape of these grooves, or try and do that as best we can, and then we can use a chisel and maybe ingrain it across these areas here, because obviously quite a lot of this is still quite proud. So I've just been going along here, as I will show you now. You see I'm trying to make that shape across there. slowly taking shape. It's looking pretty good. Just this area here next, I think, is the next bit. Bring you down lower, you can see it's just a bit proud there, so we'll just tackle that. Bear up a bit. There we go. Can you still see there? Yeah, I think you can. Right, so now that we've got that level, it's fairly flush. I've left a peak in the middle there in order for me to sort of, well, somehow reenact these little waves of the grain. So if I sort of try and create a wave of some form or another there, these all need filling as well with some probably coloured filler of some form or another, so you don't see it because there's the odd gap here. But I'm happy with the way that that's gone on up to now, and then we go on to the next job, which would be obviously to burn it. So we just need to trim that down. Right, as you can see there, that's pretty good. It's flowing quite nicely. So the next job, this is going to be a little bit more difficult. I need to avoid that eye. So we'll get that trimmed into place next. Move that across. Hopefully you can see clearly what's going on there. So I think we'll start with this bit here. You can clearly see the way that ducks in there around the cheek area. So if you sand to match the edges first, then it gives you a good indication of where you're at, and then you can then recreate these like grooves along here. See if I can do one. So we can see that that one's coming up like that and disappearing. So if we sort of try and create one of those, we've got one going up like that and then one coming down like that. And then maybe if we sort of try and sort of like, I don't know, just disguise the flatness of it really, more than anything. Like that there, just stick some grooves.
soon.
There we go.
See you later, Phil.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. So you can see the roughness there. I think once that's sort of stained in, you'll lose the eye. We've still got to burn it a bit. But if I start now putting some grooves into this here, maybe it'll look, you can see the difference between that with some slots in it and this being completely flat. Right, let's get some grooves in this. Getting there. Let's see what she looks like standing here. In fact, it's a he, I think. It's not a she. Let's put some light on it. There we go. Right, sorry about that, the battery died on this thing, so as I was saying, you can see where it's sort of, there's a bit of a cheat going on there, so I still need to just file that off there and just sort of, well, just make it as best I can really. But I think it's coming on right well, it's coming on really well, that, to be honest. I think once it's burnt and it's touched up, I think it'll look good, because I'm going to give it a complete coat of oil anyway, because it's going to live outside, and yes, it's going to split. I mean, there are splits starting to occur, but if we can give it a really good coat of something and clean her up a bit, clean him up a bit, I think we'll be able to salvage him quite nicely. But it's starting to take good shape now, look. So I'm pleased with that. Anyway, I'll carry on. See you very shortly. Bye for now. Okay, so I found some wood filler. I've got some teak, and I've got some medium reddy coloured, and I thought the red wouldn't look right on there, so I used the teak, and there you have it. So I've smeared it all over, all into these cracks and grooves, and then I'm going to rub it all off, and hopefully we will be left with the filler in all the areas that we wanted, and the filler will be disappearing from all the areas we don't want it. Such as like that. Literally all I did is get it on my finger and smear it into all the cracks. Obviously I need to fill that a bit more. I'm just basically really bedded it. In fact, I'll show you there, because I've got the brush on the wrong angle. So I've just got a bit on my finger, and then pushed it in like so. Like that. And then I basically rubbed it off. Shove it in there like so. You get the picture, don't you? I think the key with anything like this sort of job, is examine what you're doing. Obviously it's a rough surface, so you've got to reenact a rough surface, haven't you? Which I suppose is quite easy. The interesting thing is going to be burning it. That's going to be fun. There we go. Need a little bit more filling there and there, because it definitely looks like there's a wedge in there. So I need to a little bit more disguising. There we go. Right, I'll let that set. Can you see me? Yes, you can. And we'll take it from there. Stay tuned. Bye for now. Go and get yourself a cup of tea. I think it warrants it. I might have one too. Bye. Right, so with a blowtorch I've lightly blasted these areas here. As you can see, it has scorched this area here, and from a distance it's starting to take shape now, starting to look like the right colour. So I think what we need to do once we've got it like that is we need to lighten some of these areas up. So I think what I'll do, I'll get a little wire brush from somewhere like there, that might just work, and then I will brush and highlight certain areas like that. I think it's a trial and error job, isn't it, with these sort of things. It's definitely looking better. I mean, these areas are a little bit light, but having said all that, I'm going to give it a complete coat of oil, matte oil, just to give it a fighting chance against the weather, because I'm pretty sure, you know, this is going to, these things are going to split again. It's inevitable. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a tree, from what I can gather. So it's a vast improvement on what it was, and it's my first. I mean, I've never done a bear before, but I think overall it's looking pretty good. So I'll see if I can improve on it, and then we'll take it from there. Stay tuned. Right, okay, I think I've gone as far as I need to go with this now. All I'm doing now is using some Jacobean oak on an old crusty sponge that's really rock hard, and the reason for that is I've poured some of it on, and as you can see, these grooves, because I've been working on it and some of the areas have been, you know, sanded away and whatnot, I'm re-burnishing or re-showing the dark areas on the actual bear itself, because it's obviously heavily grooved. So if you go against the grain with a dark stain, it brings back out the colour of it. It just shows the markings better, and it helps disguise this area here, of course, as well. So, and I'm going to keep that algae, you know, that's part of the, I mean, it lives in the garden when all's said and done, so, you know, it's not meant to look immaculate because it's going to get weathered anyway. But now you can see that it's taken shape by the fact that it's, you know, it just looks like fur. I've just enhanced all these highlights with this Jacobean oak. So now what I've got to do is I've got to go and nip out and get some matte clear. I think I'm going to use some Danish oil, completely clear, and then go over the whole thing, use as much as I possibly can. You shouldn't be able to see it, and that will give it enough of a coating maybe till next year. These here, I'm not even going to touch those. I have filled the one in the back, and I will do something with it. At the moment I'm just letting it dry, but you can see there was one going all the way up there. So I've filled that in. I just need to allow it to dry, and then I'll brush it out like I did with the front, and then we'll give it a good coating, and hopefully that will just help. But you know, it's got little cracks. There's no way you can stop that from happening, but if the oil gets into it, it'll give it a fighting chance. But I'm very pleased with the way it's turned out, because you know, I was originally thinking, I'll just use filler and then carve it out, but it just wouldn't look the same. Whereas with wood, it looks well, it looks good. In fact, I'm more pleased with that than I am with that, to be honest. It looks good. Right, so I'm going to nip off to the most expensive place in the world, B&Q, and get some clear, and we'll give that a good coating, and then it's ready for going back to London, where the owner should be delighted with the finished article. Fingers crossed. So I'll see you later. And a warm welcome back. So now that I have been to the most expensive DIY store in the world, I have got myself some of this Danish oil, which is my favourite. But this one, I've got a durable and water repellent one, suitable for all softwoods. I suppose it's useful for hardwoods as well. And it's a clear matte finish, which is exactly what we want. So we've got a brush, and we've got the creamy liquid, milky liquid, and we're going to give this a good soaking. So once that's done, well, we'll be back. Bye for now. And welcome back. So that's had one really good coat all over, looking all the same colour at the moment, but according to the instructions, that should all go back to being a colourful bear by tomorrow. So we're just going to have to wait for this to dry, and then we're going to give it another, oops, excuse me, then we're going to give it another coat, and then I think I'm going to call it done. Looking alright from behind, not that you can see that very much, but geez, I keep saying he's looking marvellous. I'm very pleased with that. Probably more pleased with that, to be honest. That looks really good, so I'm very chuffed with that. So hopefully the Waite family will be equally as delighted as I am with it. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to have to be ready by this weekend in order for it to travel down to London, and fingers crossed they're going to like what they see. So with that said, I think I'll have an early day, burn myself a cup of tea, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye for now. Right, well, it's still the same day. I've got some time, so I thought I would nip down and have a look at the bear, and it's, well, it's gone back to normal, which is good. That's what it looks like at the moment. So it's dry, you can't tell really that it's had a coat of anything. So I think what I'm going to do now is give it another coat, and it'll be ready to go back, I think, at some point. Just got to get rid of that there. I think there's something going on there. Need to get rid of that there. I don't know what that is. But yeah. Obviously there was a crack down there, as I've already explained, but can't really tell now. I mean, I could fill it again and then go over it, but I think it's a damn sight better than it was. And there. So there we go. So I'll give it another coat, and then, well, we'll see what it'll look like after that, shall we? Right, see you later. And a good afternoon to you. It is the 19th of August, which happens to be a Wednesday. And it's the final day of the bear hospital. And the bear is hoping to go home today, and I don't see why not, because as far as I'm concerned, he is finished. So I shall show you it now. It's all dry. He is looking good. And there he is. He's all ready for whatever the British winter will throw at him. There you go. Now this bear has a name, and I thought it might be a good idea to make him a necklace, just to remind him. Like so. And his name is Boris the bear. Well, that looks quite good. So, Boris is now finished. He can go back to his family, which consists of Valerie, the mum, Jack, the dad, there's little Ava, who is 3 years old, and there is a newborn. What's her name? It's Amelie. You bet I thought I forgot, didn't you? Well, I didn't. There you go. The bear is going back to the Waite family. And I hope he's well received, because he's looking fine and dandy. So, with that said, I know it wasn't a boat episode, but, you know, there was an emergency and I came to the rescue, and actually it was quite a refreshing change to do something like that. Never done anything like that before. It's turned out rather well, so that's cool. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next episode where we get on with the Nauticus. So until then, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.